Hey everyone, Caesar here with our hot topic today, guys. We're going to talk about preventing affairs and adultery in your marriage. Very, very important topic. So let's get started. First and foremost, why it should not be done and the ramifications, right? Serious ramifications from adultery. So, firstly, affairs give the innocent spouse a biblical and legal grounds for divorce, guys. So if they usually have the most traumatic, devastating emotional effect, not only with the spouse, guys, but with children who might be impacted, right? So there's spiritual consequences. God says don't commit adultery for various reasons. And then lastly, guys, adultery is a betrayal. It's a betrayal or a breach of trust that your spouse may or may not choose to reconcile, right? So they have the option to reconcile or not. And then accountability for affairs, guys, is always on the spouse who commits the affair, right? So the person who goes out and does it is responsible. So it goes without saying that adultery could be considered, guys, the number one reason for divorce, if not top three, and rightfully so. So it can by far destroy any marriage. Now, ironic as it may seem with the topic, let me just start off by saying that you can't control what your spouse does, right? So you can't control their actions, meaning that you can't prevent your spouse or anyone from going out and committing or having an affair, right? It's going to come down to ultimately what they decide to do. So it's 100% the offending spouse's fault, the spouse who commits adultery, right? So regardless of what they may or may not be getting from the marriage, guys, it's never an excuse to break your marriage vows. Now, with that being said, we're going to look at some reasons and some triggers for why people commit affairs, right? So it's always good to hear and know the whys. So top reasons, guys, for marital affairs, right? Lack of sex, right? This is almost always connected to deeper issues. I'm going to tell you, it's always connected to something deeper going on. Second reason, emotional disconnect, right? Usually happens with wives, but can happen with husbands as well. And then you have physical dissatisfaction. And guys, this could be related to weight gain, hygiene issues, lack of affection, spending time with others more than your spouse. That's a big one. Especially, with opposite sex friends like and associates, co-workers. It's just going to all boil down to you're spending less time together, less quality time. Don't do any activities together. It could be a lack of sex, or sex might feel like more of a chore than a joy. So bet your bottom dollar that that's probably the number one answer, if not a combination of what I just said. Um, so we'll try to summarize this, guys, as best as possible because each of these can be a contributing factor. So sex is absolutely one of the most important ingredients for your marriage. And it's not just about reaching a physical climax, guys, but it's important, especially for a wife. While for husbands, it could be like the frequency. Okay, so combination of things there. But not only that, guys, sex bonds you together on a spiritual, mental, and emotional level, right? That's how it is designed by God. So, some quick pointers, guys, to help you out. Do not withhold sex from each other unless extenuating circumstances prevail, right? So this is actually stated in the Bible. You might want to read 1 Corinthians 7:3, chapter 5. I will explain it. If there's deeper issues that might be there, guys, deal with the issues. Find a time, discuss them, but don't withhold sex from your spouse, because remember that your spouse is biblically and legally the only person that should be meeting your sexual needs, right? So hence preventing them from going outside their marriage to get it. You are the only person that's qualified to give it to them. All right. So emotional disconnect. That's another one we're going to dive into a little bit. So husbands, this tends to be more prevalent with wives. So you got to come out of your comfort zone, right? You got to come out of your comfort zone and make an effort to stay connected with her emotions, right? And it doesn't make you less of a man, guys. It makes you more of a man because it means you understand your wife's needs and her value for that need. So that connection is going to make the sex even better, guys. It's going to be more enhancing. And just keep in mind that, for women, when women cheat, they pretty much have detached emotionally from the marriage. They pretty much already been gone, right? So it takes a whole lot more for her, guys, to do it. And I'm not minimalizing it. It's still wrong on both sides. Um, so we're not condoning any cheating. I'm just giving you some of the whys to help you understand it and help you prevent it. All right, so physical disconnect, guys. Let's go back on that. Take care of your health, take care of your weight, stay attractive, be more. It's more prevalent usually with men, but definitely with women as well. So a lot of times, your spouse might not be comfortable saying these things, just in regards to physical aspects, and not to come off sounding superficial, but in marriage, guys, this stuff is important. And if you plan on staying with your spouse, which you should be for a lifetime, you got to look at these things the same way when you courted, dated, and pursued your spouse. Go to those same lengths to do those things that you were doing to get them, right? All right, so I know from a realistic viewpoint, and for me, I've always wanted to kind of stay my best for my wife, just personal confidence wise, and definitely staying attractive for each other, guys, is important. So you do it out of love, right? You do it because you want a great experience, and that goes back to having the right attitude, right? So the point here, folks, don't let yourself go. Try to maintain your health and weight. Nobody's asking you to be Mr. Olympia or Miss Universe, but make the effort, because when we said I do to bringing 100% to our spouse, as we can. And we want to make sure that they have that same feeling, that loving feeling they have for us when they met us, right? All right, so if there's other problems in your marriage, it just kind of is going to give more ammo and tempt them, by not covering home, basically is what I'm saying, right? So we don't want to give the devil or anybody else any more of a foothold into our home, right? All right, so lack of affection. Lack of affection is another one, guys. Lack of affection is usually a byproduct of the lack of physical and emotional connection. So they're all connected. But if your spouse is never uh, getting that affection to begin with, this could be one of the root causes to potential affairs. And then that could make them more vulnerable, right? Especially from an outsider who comes along and then actually gives them that affection, right? Um, and definitely spending quality time. I can't stress this enough, guys. Spouses can get really relaxed with putting other people, activities, things before the needs of their spouse. And I'm going to tell you, if your spouse constantly sees you're spending time on everything, the phone, this, that, and everyone else, that can be a recipe for disaster. And they'll start to seek that attention soon from elsewhere. And I'm not advocating that you seek that attention. I'm telling you the reality of things that happen. So, of course, you're never going to be responsible for your spouse cheating, but you are responsible for how you treat them, how you love them. And I can guarantee you guys that unless they have some serious lust issues there, if you're doing what you're supposed to do, that loyalty should be there, is the bottom line. And the best defense for protecting your marriage from affairs is a solid offense, right? Does that make sense? So do what you're supposed to do. Just do what you're supposed to do as a spouse. Take care of home. Show that you care on a daily basis. And I'm telling you, just showing up, guys, is going to make all the difference. Put your spouse's needs first, right? Especially sexually, emotionally, and physically. Have a prayer life, spiritual life, and convictions, right? Got to have these convictions against committing adultery, because adultery is serious stuff, guys. And because it's very traumatic, and the effect that it can have is not only on your spouse, guys, but your children, those around you, guys. Believe it or not, single people are watching you, families watching you. And if you or your spouse, you're struggling in these areas, click on the link below or in the banner, schedule a complimentary marriage makeover session if you're married. If you're not married, we have a relationship rescue session. If you're preparing for marriage, you can use our marital prep session, and we will help you discreetly identify your unique challenges. All right, so I'm Caesar Quick. Don't wait. Schedule your session.